Welcome back, my little hard-shelled hamburgers.
Hello. Today I want to talk about the Amazing Digital Circus, The Last Act. I've watched all of the episodes of the show, and I gotta say they were really good. I've watched them probably like 3 or 4 times. I think like 3 times in 3 times in English and like 1 time in Korean, and it was really good. I've only seen The Last Act once. I saw it in theaters, and I loved the last episode. But it seems like a lot of people didn't. I kind of want to talk about the interpretations that I've been seeing online and kind of why maybe some of them are missing some context. I'm not saying it's wrong to have a different opinion than me, but I feel like there could be more nuance added. Disclaimer, I'm just a nobody. I mean, I'm somebody to somebody. Amen. But I am like not an animator or like this bit, like I'm just a rando on the internet. So you can disagree with me. It is totally fine. And you can comment your disagreements and your thoughts. However, be respectful, please. I will delete your comment if it's rude.
I won't hesitate.
All right. First, I want to do a brief, and I mean like super brief, spoiler-free review of the movie in case some of you are interested in that. And then we'll get into more of my concrete thoughts. So, TADC, The Last Act, is a fitting conclusion to a story where the thesis, as Gooseworks put it, is there is meaning to be found in a stagnant life. If I had to summarize how I felt about the whole thing, it would be this.
I laughed, I cried, it moved me, Bob.
I don't know what else to say except you may or may not leave this episode satisfied. I don't know. That's kind of all I got. Now I'm going to spoil the crap out of the show. So if you haven't seen it, this is your opportunity to leave. I'll see you when you come back. I don't want to ruin this for anybody. Let's talk about why people dislike this movie while I kind of provide maybe another way to look at some of it. Editing me here. I'm sorry. I called the show a movie several different times. Chalk it up to the fact that I'm a silly goose, please. First we have, this movie mostly focuses on Jax, who is a terrible individual who does not deserve redemption. Now, I don't disagree that Jax is terrible. And I don't think he should have a redemption arc, but I also don't think this episode is one. He literally abstracts, and then we get to crawl around in his head for a bit and see even more of why he's a terrible person, like with the Rivet and Kaufmo thing. This will sound like a tangent, but please just like stay with me for a second. When we're reading books, there's 2 like ways of viewing things. There's descriptive and prescriptive. Prescriptive is when something says, do this is good and should be emulated. Descriptive is simply just stating what happened, whether it's good or it's not. Maybe a prescriptive thing in a book would be nice to your siblings or something. Whereas something descriptive might be, and then he kicked the guy in the stomach. I don't know. Well, one of those things I think the book is trying to tell me I should be doing, or like say this is at least a good thing. And then the other thing is just describing something that happened. It's not, the book isn't telling me to do it. It's just being like, this is something that happened. I bring that up because when we watch shows that have good guys and bad guys, that have morals and lessons to be learned, it can be easy to take all of that and throw it into the prescriptive category, make it seem like it's telling us what to do and what is good. But media is not always that cut and dry. I think nowadays a lot of media treats us like we're stupid and therefore kind of just spells it out, and there's not a lot of gray. But I don't think the Amazing Digital Circus is like that. In my interpretation, Jax and his behavior, as well as how other people react, are more on the descriptive side rather than the prescriptive. Sometimes someone is just an emotionally unstable piece of crap, and the people around them still love them and will fight for them. That doesn't mean it's always a good idea to do that, but it's just something that happens. I think Gooseworks is like, this happens sometimes, not I am rewarding Jax with screen time. I think Gooseworks is just describing a thing that happens in life. The next one is the brain scans thing. I'm not gonna lie, I love sad existential endings. Sorry if you haven't seen Avengers Infinity War before, but I love the ending of that movie. It's so sad. And I love it. It's so bleak. Oh, anyway, I love an existential, nothing gets worked out type ending. On some level, I wish that everyone was somehow still strapped to their VR headset in that building and that their lives as humans did not proceed as normal. I don't really know what would have happened after that. That's as far as my thought process went. But given the fact, what someone pointed out like on Reddit, I don't know who it was or when, but they were like, if that was the case, their bodies would be all gross and decaying now, especially Kingers, which is true. So I guess it sort of had to be brain scans. I'm kind of 50-50 on the slideshow thing at the end, by the way. It does show that a decent amount of the characters are POC, and I think that's funny if you've seen that meme about how all the characters are thinking, dang, I'm the only POC in the circus. And we learned that Kinger actually married a black queen, which is, yeah. Again, I would have preferred a more morbid ending, but I was looking at TikTok right after I walked out the movie. Much to my surprise, like I said, a lot of people hated it. But someone had commented on a video basically being like, what would you have wanted to happen instead? Please, like, tell me what is it? Lay it out. How did you want it to go? And I think that's a good point, because thinking about the thesis, I really don't know how else it was supposed to end. So I personally don't know. But if you can think of a better way for the show to have ended, specifically with the whole brain scans thing, I would love to hear it, because I can't think of another way to convey, like, no, you're actually really stuck. There's no hope whatsoever for you to leave at all. I think keeping in mind the thesis is a good idea when thinking about the fact that they're brain scans, even though it does seem kind of like a cop-out maybe.
What do you, the viewers, think it is?
Next we have Jax flirting with Gangle. I agree, that was weird. I think they honestly just wanted an excuse to put Jax in the maid outfit again. And I think this scene, on top of him literally saying the F word, I forgot it was either like right before or right afterwards, really solidifies how much of an inconsiderate jerk Jax is, which I think is important to the story that the finale is trying to tell. So, well, I don't understand why he had to flirt with Gangle of all people. Also, like, remember, it is in his head. So I think we see a really good depiction of how skewed his worldview is, which I'll talk about in a minute a bit more. And so maybe on some level, he thinks Gangle likes being treated that way. I don't know, but I mean, that's also showing, like, dang, he's just a jerk. The next thing is, I saw some people didn't like the ambiguity of it, specifically with whether or not Jax can unabstract, if he ever would. I want to know if you guys think unabstracting is possible. That's just like an aside. I don't know how that would happen. In my head, I guess maybe Caine could do it because he fixed Pomni when she touched Kaufmo, but I don't know, he hasn't. No one seems to have by the end of the episode, so I really don't know. I mean, sometimes things are just ambiguous. It doesn't make a piece of media bad. Oh, and I also love how at the end, Jax was just laying down in the dark, Kongshu. Sometimes it really is healing for your mentally ill friend to just take a nap in the dark while you're nearby and they know that you love them. But yeah, I mean, it is ambiguous. I think also it gives us the freedom to talk about it a bit more, to engage in some discussion about whether he should or shouldn't, whether people should or shouldn't unabstract, and again, whether that kind of tampers with the thesis or not. The next thing that I've seen is frustration with plot holes, which I understand to a point, except these are some of the plot holes that I saw mentioned. Scratch's abstraction, Jax and the corn thing, and what happened to the other people we really didn't get to spend time with, and also what happened to Human Scratch. So I do think there are plot holes in this, but a lot of things that we're calling plot holes are just more like loose ends, in my opinion. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Chekhov's gun, but it's this idea that if something is present in a story, it needs to have a payoff or a purpose. It's kind of like foreshadowing. Movies, shows, books, they're often littered with mystery mouse tools that we'll use later. And I think we're very used to looking for them. Like, oh, I see that. So it must mean it'll be important. For example, more than once, Gangle is shown being almost ran over. And we learn that she was hit by a truck probably, and that's how she hurt her arm. Because in the slideshow, she says that she's recovering. So that was useful information to keep seeing her getting hit by a car. There's a lot of stuff in the show that's never quite explained or that never comes up again. And I think things like that are used to flesh out the world, like give nuance to a character. Side note, BoJack Horseman. The characters in BoJack Horseman blink when they interact. I think that's really unique and unnecessary, but the little quirks and idiosyncrasies and weird details help to flesh out what we're seeing and like make it more immersive, in my opinion. So I think the little random things help flesh out the world and also help give more depth to the character, as well as just making it seem more realistic. People have weird little things about them. Jax is afraid of corn. I also think, though, it is funny that Jax is so afraid of something so arbitrary, given the fact that he is giving off this tough guy persona so much. It kind of shows that if someone really wanted to knock him down a couple pegs, they could like show him a piece of corn or something, even if it's kind of silly. I think not only does it help with fleshing out the characters, making them more real, but it shows that Jax isn't invincible. And that even after we learn so much about him in the finale, there's still like so much mystery because people are complex and they contain multitudes. When it comes to things like not knowing about the other people and what happened to Human Scratch, or even getting to see Scratch abstract, I think those are just things that we can kind of make up and fill in the blanks about, but just those events were given so that whatever happened next made more sense, which means I guess they didn't necessarily need to be neatly tied up. One thing that I also saw people frustrated about, understandably, is we don't get to learn why Caine is such a crash out. I also would like to know why he's such a crash out. Maybe it was said in this episode or some other one, and I missed it. Though, to be fair, some people are just crash outs, and there's really no good explanation for it. And it seemed like since the beginning, something's been kind of off about him. I also know he has like a thing about abandonment. Like when he assumes the blue orb, I think he was doing the job first, and then I don't know, the blue one came, and I guess he was abandoned, which is what Bubba was talking about, and then he like ate it. So maybe that has something to do with it. But what I'm saying is that could be plausible. That could be why Caine is a crash out. Next thing, the use of "Isn't She Lovely" by Stevie Wonder. Yes, I know that song is about a baby girl being born. Yes, I know it's annoying when people misuse it, but it has been misused in media since the beginning of time. People, for whatever reason, think that it's like a traditional love song. I was one of those people till I guess I kind of looked at the lyrics, or maybe someone actually me, and I learned I don't know. And it's kind of like people who use "Stay With Me" by Sam Smith as their first dance song. Sometimes we just don't listen to the words really necessarily. But I'm not 100% sure why "Isn't She Lovely" was used in that scene, especially because I'm not a Funny Bunny shipper. No shade to y'all. I don't think you're crazy. I'm just not one. So I didn't really read it that way. I also have seen people read it as though Jax is trans on top of other clues. I mean, I didn't read it that way either. I guess it's possible since Goosework said that Jax is a self-insert character, if I'm not mistaken, but still, I didn't get that at all. I wasn't thinking about that at all. Not to say neither of those possibilities are possible, but that's not what I got. It is a little confusing to me since the power of Pomni's, albeit platonic, love did not unabstract Jax. I don't understand what that sequence was about. Maybe I need to see it again. Yeah, let me know why the heck you think they used that song if you have any ideas. Maybe they're doing what people always do with that song and misuse it. Again, ambiguity. We just don't know, but I don't think ambiguity is a reason to dislike something necessarily. Next, focusing on Jax the whole time. Since the release of the posters for the last episode, people have been annoyed at the idea that Jax would be the focus of it, which is completely understandable. I don't know if it's clear or not. I don't like Jax. I am not a Jax blazer. Get your Jax toy, get a little laugh boy. Something, something laugh boy. I'm talking about him so much because he's so prominent in the finale, but I do not like him. So I don't know why they decided to focus on him for the majority of this episode, especially because there are other characters that may have been just as engaging, if not more. Anybody else, in theory, could have been more engaging, and fans could have maybe resonated with them better, but for whatever reason, Gooseworks and the team decided that Jax was the best way to get the message across of the last episode. And remembering like descriptive versus prescriptive from earlier, I don't think they're focusing on Jax the most because he deserves it. And I think that's what I keep seeing people infer, like Gooseworks is somehow rewarding Jax for being a jerk by giving him the episode, and that doesn't make sense to me. I just don't think that's what's happening. Also, side note, I think maybe part of why Jax was chosen is because I know a lot of people like Jax and I know a lot of people don't like Jax. And there's something about TADC that is inherently uncomfortable. Granted, it is a comfort show for me and I'm sure a lot of other people, but there's like an unease there. And so I could see them thinking, oh, let's use Jax so that it's this polarizing thing and you kind of see that people are complicated, and then you have to reckon with how you feel about it afterwards. Like I saw something bad happen to someone who I don't like. How I feel about that, what does that say about me? Or what does it say about people being flawed? All right, last problem I'm seeing people have. Jax abstracting off screen. I'm so sorry if I'm misremembering this, but do we see anybody abstract on screen? I'm being so serious. I'm not trying to be snarky or rude or anything. I don't remember seeing anybody abstract on screen ever. If I'm misremembering, please let me know. And I think us landing at the aftermath of him abstracting, like just them looking at him go buck wild, kind of solidified the inevitability of that moment. Like we all figured he'd probably abstract, and we're there with the characters, kind of like, what do we do? Also, when I was watching, I didn't see Kinger, so I was like, oh crap, maybe Jax didn't abstract. Maybe he's gonna come around the corner and be like, well. And so the whole time I was like, where's Kinger? Where's Kinger? Oh my gosh, is it Kinger? Did anyone else think that? It wouldn't have made a lot of sense for Kinger to have abstracted, but I don't know. What I liked that they did not escape and that abstraction was not a means of escape. I feel like that would have sent a really weird and bad message. I liked that there was the abstraction aquarium thing at the end. That was really beautiful. I like that Jax stayed abstracted at the end and we don't know if he will come back from that. I like that we got to see the inside of Jax's mind And I think it was a really good representation of the mind of someone with that particular flavor of mental illness. At least, I mean, I think so. I like that Jax is a terrible person and we still had to watch him go through something sad and learn about why he was terrible. But side note, your empathy for someone does not need to outweigh your common sense. I'm just saying, you can still be like, oh, that's so sad that happened to someone, and then walk away. You're a human being. You deserve respect. I like the idea, once Caine got his head together, literally, I guess, that I kind of got to see, like, okay, a stagnant life, it can be good and it can be less horrible, especially if the person in charge of the life that you're living in some way is not a monster and listens to you. They were able to, like, live their best life as much as they could once Caine was like, let me stop being such a crash out. I'm sorry, and I'm listening to you. I liked seeing the characters happy. I liked the fish guys at the beginning. It was really cute and funny. I liked that Caine didn't program the moon to say that she loved him. That was really sweet. All right, a brief list of what I didn't like. I didn't like the Caines going up the stairs sequence was so long. I didn't like that Ragatha and Pomni walking away from each other took such a long time. I think both of those were just padding the runtime. I don't really care though, but yeah, I didn't like how long they were, but that doesn't mean I don't like the whole thing. And then it would have been nice to get more context about who the other people were that we don't really get to spend a lot of time with, or the people who abstracted before the main cast were all there. I guess what I'm trying to say is that sometimes things are ambiguous, and that's okay. Sometimes the main character is also the villain or the antagonist. More complex stories often need more nuanced storytelling devices so that they can get their points across. And when we look through that lens, maybe we can still see stuff that we dislike about the finale, but it doesn't need to completely ruin our view of the whole thing. If we consider the overall story being told and like the thesis, as well as how the creator may be telling the story, then I think we can have a more informed opinion of whether we genuinely dislike something or if something just brought up a really uncomfortable feeling. And this is going for me too. So those are my thoughts. I would love to hear yours. Thank you for staying until the end. Bye! I want to be clear, if I knew Jax in real life, no, I wouldn't, because we would be no contact very shortly afterwards. I'd be like, oh, no. Because I've met people like Jax.